Hello and welcome back to our new plants series for 2021. Um, I have a bunch of presentations to give you about this. This is one of many, I believe I have 10 different ones I'll be recording for us to go over the new plants for this year. And just a quick note, just because they're new plants doesn't mean they're actually new on the market. These are new to us. So some of them are new on the market and others I just haven't been able to get in the past. And this year, we will have them for the first time. So I just wanted to introduce them to you. And with that note, let's get started. Today, I'll be going over our new Rose of Sharon. Some customers know it as hibiscus, and this type is the shrub type, so it's not going to be the kind with the huge dinner plate flowers on them. They're a little bit smaller, typically 3 to 4 inches in diameter. But they do still flower typically in July and August, so it gives a nice little extra flowering season in Wisconsin, where a lot of other shrubs are flowering in spring. So this will kind of extend the flowering season for us here in Wisconsin. The first one is called Bluebird. If you're familiar with the Hawaii variety that we typically get in, I'm not able to get that one this year, but Bluebird is very comparable to Hawaii with the kind of lavender blue flowers. Again, they bloom typically in July and August for 4 to 6 weeks. And the Bluebird is one that's coming to us out of Canada from our supplier up there. So it's pretty hardy. Most Rose of Sharon are going to be listed as a Zone 5 plant. Some may be slightly hardier, especially if you have a protected area to put it in. Or if some people I know wrap them in burlap to help them get through the winter and keep the rabbits from nibbling on them when it gets really cold with our polar vortex that we seem to be getting more often these days. This one is going to be arriving in mid to late May, so it should be just starting to leaf out for us. Rose of Sharon typically do take a while to leaf out in the spring, so we get quite a few people who will come to us right around Mother's Day and think the plant is dead. And we usually tell them to wait until about Memorial Day instead, just because they do take quite a while to get going and leaf out. The soil temperature has to be significantly warmer for these to do anything, just because of their tropical background and genetics. So this one is 6 to 8 feet tall and typically 5 to 6 feet wide. You can see the plant there in the photo. It is kind of a globe shape. You can prune it a little bit to keep it a little bit more under control, but they don't generally need a lot of pruning to keep them looking nice in your landscape. This one is also salt tolerant, so you can put it close by a driveway or around the foundation of your house if you have it by the walkway. And the salt that you may be spreading for the snow and ice that we get in winter, it won't hurt the plant when it washes away. For all of the Rose of Sharon too, I should note that they're going to be full sun to part sun, so they'll need a minimum of 4 hours of sun a day. Basically, they'll be okay anywhere as long as it's not the north side of your house. This is a new one coming out of Monrovia. It's called Chateau de Chantilly. The Chateau series that they have being bred in through Monrovia is a little bit different than the other Rose of Sharons that you'll be seeing. This one has flower buds up and down the whole stem instead of just at the very tips, or some varieties will have it on the top half. But this one is from ground to tip, so you'll have quite a few more flowers associated with the Chateau series. This one, as you can see, has the white flower with that reddish in the center. This one should also be arriving probably early to mid-May, depending on when our trucks start to arrive from Monrovia. 6 foot tall plant and about 4 feet wide, so it's a little bit not quite columnar, but it's not quite that globe shape that you sometimes see with a lot of other hibiscus plants. And again, this one is, again, salt tolerant, as most Rose of Sharon will be, and Zone 5 with full sun being the best for flowering. And the other Chateau variety that I have coming in is Chateau de Versailles. Again, with the kind of lavender blue flower with that maroon in the center. It's another one that's 6 feet tall and 4 feet wide, not quite columnar shaped, as I said with the other one. And this one also has the buds that go from ground to tip on the branches, so you'll get quite a few more flowers with this variety. French Cabaret Blush is definitely not new on the market, but this one is one that we may have carried before I started, I believe. Chris and Angie said they may have had this one 7 or 8 years ago before I was working at K&A. But this one is an older variety. It has a double flower, so you won't get that, you won't really see the red center on it. The buds are going to be a very pale pink, and it'll open up to this kind of white with almost a light pink blush on it. This one should be coming in right away when we open in the middle of April. And this one has more of that vase shape where it's narrow at the bottom of the plant and kind of is wider at the top of the plant. 5 to 8 feet tall and 4 to 7 feet wide. Really kind of depends on the soils. They will tolerate clay soils, but they do grow a little bit slower and they're a little bit smaller in clay soils because their roots take a lot longer to get established in clay versus like a loamy or a sandy soil. And again, with the salt tolerance and full sun for best flowering on this one as well. This one is the French Cabaret Red. Basically the same as the French Cabaret Blush, only with kind of a rosy pink, not quite a red in my opinion, but the same double flower on it. This one will also have the flowers mainly at the tips of the branches versus, you know, halfway down or like the Versailles and Chantilly. It probably won't be all the way down to the ground. But again, it's a 5 to 8 foot tall and 4 to 7 foot wide, depending on your soil types. Full sun for best flowering, and the same base shape where it's narrow at the bottom, and it's a little bit wider at the top of the plant. Blushing Bride is semi-new to the market. Just haven't been able to get it in the past, and I've had a few people asking for this one, so I thought I would give it a try, see what it does for us this year. The flower on it is not single, but it's not quite a double, so it's considered a semi-double plant with that little bit of frilly in the middle part. You can kind of see the dark red in the center, and this one again has a pale pink bud, and then it opens up to this not quite cream. It has the pink blush on it too, like the blushing the French Cabaret Blush also has. This one is quite a bit taller than most of the other ones we're carrying. It's 8 to 10 feet tall, and it's a columnar shape, so it's about half that for width. It's about 5 foot wide. So you will have, this one could be used as a hedge, something for privacy screenings if that's something you're looking for. I know a lot of people like to use evergreens, but I think sometimes if you pop these in between them, then it gives it a little bit of extra color. Again, with full sun for best flowering, will tolerate partial shade, and it's also salt tolerant like a lot of the other Rose of Sharons will be. This is a dwarf Rose of Sharon called Lil Kim. Last year, I believe we had Lil Kim pink, possibly. This one is just the first one they came out with, so it's the white with the dark red in the centers. This one only is a 3 to 4 foot tall and 3 to 4 feet wide, so it definitely fits in the landscape better if you're living in the city, have a smaller lot. And this one, full sun, it will tolerate part shade a little bit better than the taller varieties and older varieties. So I should also mention this one has the buds about halfway down on the stems, so you will get a little bit more flower power from this particular variety. And Lil Kim Violet is the other dwarf variety we'll be getting in this year. The flowers are supposed to be a violet color, but to my eye, they look more of like a purplish pink hue to them instead, and they still have that bright red in the center. Again, it's a 3 to 4 feet tall and 3 to 4 feet wide here in Wisconsin, so it'll fit well in the smaller landscapes, in and around the Madison area. And this is the last new variety we have. It's called White Pillar. This one is also another one that you could use as a hedge because it is the tallest one that we're getting in. It's 12 to 16 feet tall, so we'll get quite large, almost a small tree pretty much. But it only gets 3 to 4 feet wide. So it really doesn't take up a whole lot of room width-wise, as long as you have the space to give it, enough height. It would make actually a nice backdrop for other smaller shrubs or even some taller perennials if you have that in your gardens. The single white flower typically blooms a little bit later than the other Rose of Sharon, so it's more of a late July versus an early July flowering plant. And like I said, the columnar growing habit makes it a good one for hedges or background plants. Um, and we do have other Rose of Sharon varieties that you can check out on our website. If you have any questions about the ones listed here or any of the ones listed on our website, you can feel free to email us at K&A Greenhouse at gmail.com. I have the phone numbers listed here, and we are hoping to open on April 16th, which is a Friday this year. So hopefully we will see all of you very soon at our garden centers, and keep thinking warm thoughts.